Today we will be exploring a local wildlife conservation site with an interesting origin and even more interesting inhabitants. I'm here at Avon Glen Quarry, a derelict industrial site that has since been taken over by a host of wildlife species thanks to Falkirk Wildlife Conservation Group. The quarry hasn't been in use since the early 1980s and has since then been renaturalised to accommodate the many local wildlife species. There are lots of wooded areas and there's 4 local ponds of which inhabit the most interesting species this place has, the great crested newt. I've arranged a meeting with one of the members of the Falkirk Wildlife Conservation Group to ask her about the origins of the quarry and how it came to be a local conservation site. So, Leslie, when did the quarrying for sand stop in this area?
The quarrying stopped on this site in the 1980s, and the land is currently owned by Falkirk Council.
Okay, and when did the conservation group start doing conservation work here?
The conservation group was started up in 2012, Suzanne, and it was only in 2015 that the group wanted to become more involved in this site.
Right. So what's going on here currently at the quarry?
Well, at the moment we've just received some funding to create a sand martin bank. Being a sand and gravel quarry really favours sand martins. They like old quarries. So we got money from FET, Falkirk Environment Trust, and Falkirk Council to create a new sand martin bank. We've also had some scrub clearance done this year, Suzanne, of course, by BugLife. They managed to get funding for a couple of projects and they chose Avon Glen Quarry as one of them.
The newest construction at the quarry is the man-made sandbank that's been built to attract sand martins. Sand martins are small, agile and gregarious birds that nest in soft substrate such as this. They travel to the UK from the Sahara and can nest in colonies of up to 100 pairs. The Falkirk Wildlife Conservation Group hopes to see some nesting pairs in 2019. So what do you think the biodiversity is like around this area?
Well, if you look around you, you'll see it's quite a mosaic of different habitats. There's some established woodland, but there's also natural regeneration of woodland. We've got acid grassland, we have ponds as well. So they're quite a varied, mixed and diverse range of habitats. A lot of bare soil as well, which is good for invertebrates.
So out of the different species that inhabit the quarry, which one stands out the most to you?
I think it has to be the great crested newt, because that species is protected, through European law. So that's what stands out for me, and all the work that's done on this site has to take the great crested newt into consideration. So the work all evolves around their cycle.
The quarry is home to one of the UK's protected species, the great crested newt. The species is native to the UK, but its distribution is spread out sparsely over the countryside, with sites often being very isolated from one another. Here at the quarry there's an estimated 70 to 80 great crested newts with the potential for more. Here, in the summer, during their breeding season, they spend most of their time in the ponds. We're here tonight in the evening, where they're most active, to try and catch a glimpse of them on camera with the help of Leslie Sweeney. So Leslie, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you net to collect the newts.
There's several methods to find out if you've got newts in your pond. The first one would be a day search, looking for eggs on folded leaves, and they're sort of white, about 5 millimetres long. Quite difficult to find, but it's worth looking. And then you've got torch surveys, where you'll come out at night and use a torch and periodically go round, make your way round the pond and shining a metre from the bank to see if you can see any. Thirdly, there's the netting of the pond, and basically you're going to put the net into the pond and do a figure 8. And then there's bottle trapping, but that's a method that I don't use unless I've never been to the pond before. So I'll show you how I net for newts.
Okay, great.
Not as much mare's tail over there. I wish I had my wellies on. I'm not organised at all, I'm afraid. No, that's no good. That's too shallow.
Oh, yeah.
Now you can tell he's palmate because of the little paddle back feet. And he's got a little pin at the end of his tail. See that little, how his foot's like webbed?
Mm.
That's the palmate. Now the great crested would take up pretty much my hand compared to this little fella here. He'll start getting active, he's getting warm. So there he is.
We got one.
Yes, we have. We have a female. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Can I get a shot of it when it's in the...
Oh, wow. Yes, you can. I've got a female here. Can you see her?
Yeah, she's right at the bottom.
I've done it. So this is a female great crested newt. It's not a fully grown adult because it's quite small. I've held bigger. Also known as the warty newt. In fact, I'm going to say she is a juvenile because, can I flip over her belly?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, look
Oh,
at
wow,
that.
yeah.
Do you see the
Yeah.
bright orange belly with the black dots? If I can hold her for... Can you see that? Can you get a picture? She's not been very cooperative. But it's quite a small female, so I would say it's a juvenile female. It's not fully grown. But there you go. There's your great crested newt. I'll try and flip her over. There you go.
Oh, God.
They're slippery creatures.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a good shot there.
There you
Oh,
go.
That's brilliant.
Got it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh wow.
that's great.
She's not quite black. She's got a lot of sort of white bits. But there's your female.
Restoring and maintaining the conservation site has not been without difficulty, however. The Falkirk Wildlife Conservation Group has faced challenges from local landowners and even unlawful dirt bikers.
So Leslie, what difficulties have you faced while working here at the quarry?
Well, the main difficulty, as you can see looking around you, is basically the off-road motorbikes and four-wheel drive vehicles that have been using this site since the quarry closed. They breached the fence line, and I'm still having the occasional break-in onto the site, but I have to say it's much reduced.
So has there been any opposition to the conservation work here?
No, there hasn't actually. I think because the site, many people don't know it actually exists, and it's in isolation of people, population. There's no visible housing nearby. It's overlooked pretty much by people, so there hasn't really been, apart from those who used it illegally to drive their motorbikes and their four-wheel drives and stuff.
Despite the setbacks and obstacles, the Falkirk Wildlife Conservation Group has managed to keep up with maintaining the site and ensuring that the species that inhabit it are safe.
Is there any sort of donations that you receive here for the quarry?
We haven't received sort of personal donations, but we apply for funding for all our projects that we do on the site, and the main funders to date have been Falkirk Environment Trust and Falkirk Council. Buglife have managed to secure funding to do the scrub clearance on the bank, and Froglife got money for their dragonfly finder project, so they were able to come in and restore the ponds.
So how have you maintained and preserved the work that's been done here?
We maintain it by bringing volunteers in on site to do litter picks. We've had some school children here. I visit the site regularly on a weekly basis to ensure that there are no new ways that people have managed to find their way in with motorbikes. The maintenance is really just going to be very minimal, you know, just the basic of what needs done really. There's been some tree thinning and tree planting, and it's all just kept very low key. There won't be any intensive management on this site because it's still developing as a site itself.
So is the quarry open to the public to visit?
It is open to the public. There is the issue of getting to the site. There's no official parking to the site. There's an unofficial lay-by close by, and the only main track off sides of roads would be coming down from Whitecross. So it is limited as to who can come here, but it is open.
So do you have any future plans for the site and its inhabitants?
Yeah, we do. We are going to continue maintaining the site, managing it for the species that are here, and also hopefully through time enhancing it. There'll be a monitoring project, a yearly monitoring of the great crested newts. That's been following since 2012, so we'll keep monitoring the population.
And is there any way for anyone to get involved with the conservation group?
Certainly is. We meet every month and we have a Facebook page. We're always keeping people updated on what we're doing, and anybody is welcome to come along to the meetings and work alongside us as a volunteer. Yeah.
There's a lot in store for the future of the quarry, with new development work being carried out regularly. The conservation work that has been done here has not been without its challenges, but overall its impact on the area's local wildlife has been a positive one. If you want to get involved with the group, get in touch on Facebook or come along to one of the monthly meetings that's held at Kersey Bank Community Centre in Grangemouth at 7:30 p.m. on the last Wednesday of every month.